Hello and welcome to another episode of the Average Joe Football Show. I'm your host, Joe Fair. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Mario Andretti's favorite football podcast.
Dude.
Yeah. I'm joined once again, obviously, by my illustrious producer, Joe Teason. How's it going, Joe?
Quite well.
That's
Quite well. Who's Mario Andretti?
Mario Andretti.
Mario Andretti.
Yeah. I believe he's an F1 driver.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe. I could be wrong. I know he's a race car driver.
Yeah.
They talk about him in some country songs.
What?
Yeah. Well, one that I know of.
Name more than one.
It's the one by Alan Jackson. He says, Daddy, let me drive. And he says, I was Mario Andretti. Mario Andretti, he's one of the most famous racers ever. Also notoriously really short, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Like 5'3".
No way.
So,
Do you
yeah.
need stilts to drive?
Yeah.
Press down on
He had a custom car. He had like one of those little mini cars compared to everybody else.
Nice.
Yeah, that's how he was so good. He could just
swear around everybody.
Yeah. Beep, beep, you know.
Yeah, he probably had an easy time parking as well, right?
Am I right?
Yeah.
A lot of parking goes on
Yeah,
in those
NASCAR.
F1 races.
F1 it
Yeah.
was?
Maybe he was also a NASCAR driver at some point. I'm not sure.
I don't think F1 has been along that long. Like, it has been around that long
Okay.
for Alan Jackson to be.
Yeah, no. Formula 1, it's been around for a long time.
I'm yanking your chain, Joe.
Okay, man. I can never tell.
But, nice. You got an ad?
Yeah, no, I'm just watching Monday Night Football. It hasn't started yet, so there's a commercial for The Good Doctor right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, that's the show's on CTV, which is a Canadian channel. I believe CTV is a Canadian channel. Canadian TV. Is that what it stands for?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it definitely does.
Okay.
Well, at least something along those lines. But speaking of F1, you watch it?
No. Nope.
No?
No. You?
Yeah. Well, no, not really. But
okay. Can you name any drivers?
Yeah. Hamilton.
Oh, isn't it like Alexander Hamilton?
It's Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton?
Alexander
Where did I get
Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton?
That's from the musical Hamilton.
Is that what his name is?
Name is Alexander Hamilton, and then something.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, never seen it.
A lot of people really like that Hamilton musical. Never watched it.
Yeah.
Never been much of a musical guy.
Yeah.
Myself.
I like Frozen.
Frozen was good.
Yeah.
But I mean like live musicals.
I don't. I mean like Disney musicals. Coco? Really like that one.
Coco? Yeah,
Don't
no,
even think that
haven't
was
seen
Disney.
Coco.
Highly recommend. Really
I think
good.
Coco is Pixar.
Yeah, Disney Pixar.
Yep, Disney. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Disney
Maybe you're right.
Pixar. Yeah. What's the other one? DreamWorks.
DreamWorks.
Not DreamWorks. I don't think. I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's DreamWorks.
Yeah, no, I know, but I don't think Coco is the DreamWorks one.
Then there's
But
Studio
then
Ghibli.
again, who cares? Ghibli. Well, yeah, I wouldn't really put it on the same level. As
No, yeah,
those
but
other
it's like
ones.
the Japanese Disney pretty
Yeah.
much is what it is.
Do they make probably the same, like, money like that? Do
Yeah,
they make money
well,
like that?
yeah, but it would be yen,
Yeah.
actually, because it's Japanese. So,
Mm.
yeah, it's not called money, it's called yen there.
I learned that the Korean is, you know what the Korean currency
Wons.
is? Won. Yeah. WON.
You know what the Chinese currency is?
Dollars.
I think shekels. I have no idea.
It's quid.
Quid.
Yeah.
Quid and pounds.
Yeah.
Wait, is the UK different from Europe?
Listen, man, I don't even know what the UK
Oh,
is.
yeah, okay, wait, I know the UK is in Europe, but I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, is United Kingdom?
I don't know.
different
We
than
got to
the
be
rest of
careful
Europe?
because we've already sounded pretty stupid on this podcast at times. So
Ah,
I don't
but I'm
even really
genuinely
understand
curious.
how the UK, England, Britain. How does that even work? I don't even get all that.
actually, I've actually flew over it once, so that they're kind of like it's like
Yeah.
an island.
No, I
They're
understand.
like
What
separated.
are they called? Is all is
The
what I'm
United
asking.
Kingdom.
Yeah. So what's Britain then? There's
It's
another
United-
name
What do you mean?
for them.
Well, in the United Kingdom, there's Britain, and then there's also
So are they one country?
no. What? There's Britain, and then there's Ireland.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland.
But they're so
and
they're
Wales.
separate countries.
There are a few on there. Yep.
But why? So then why do they get to be called the United Kingdom?
Okay. I don't make the rules, Joe.
You know,
And-
I'm just saying that's the part I don't understand.
Well, if
You
there's any listeners from Europe or the UK that knows more than we do about it, then just
Which is probably almost anybody. You don't even really have to be from there to know more than us
True.
about it.
But Lewis Hamilton, he's a I thought he was really, really young, but apparently he's pretty average.
Pretty average in
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean? Like 40?
Hey Siri, how old is Lewis Hamilton?
36.
He's 36. I
An
thought he was like a
average-
20-something-year-old,
average.
like young.
It's a young sounding name, Lewis Hamilton.
I know. I always thought he looked super young too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. For those of you that are listening, he doesn't. I didn't even see a picture of him, but
Oh.
yeah, this is the Average Joe Football Show. We talk about football at some point. We're going to bring on somebody who knows what they're talking about when it comes to football. We kicked this other guy off the pod. My good buddy Joe, the producer of the show, the guy that makes this show go tick. Without him, it goes from tick, tick, tick to tick, tick, boom. It doesn't happen.
Thank
There's
you.
no show.
Thanks,
so
Joe.
we're going to talk about week 5 and all that happened in week 5. We're going to talk about a segment that we're doing in this week called Contenders or Pretenders. Yeah.
Oh, that's clever, Joe.
Is this team going to compete for the Super Bowl or not? Or are they just pretending to compete for the Super Bowl? Going to talk about that and all the other good stuff surrounding week 5 when we bring Mike on in the football aspect of this podcast. But you guys know how we do. If you listen to this show, we like to start off the show with a little banter, little back and forth with my good buddy Joe, with my good producer, my illustrious producer Joe. Yeah. Joe, I don't know.
Speaking of tick, 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 we made a Tick Tick Talk account.
No.
You can find us on Tick Tick Talk at Average Joe Show.
No, you can't. You can't.
We're on TikTok.
You can't.
Well, I made the account.
Okay, so you can. Fine. You want to run it?
Yeah.
Okay. What are you gonna put on there?
Exclusive content.
Like what?
Well, I'm mostly just gonna put links, like post links to our Patreon. That's it.
The whole thing is just links to our Patreon.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like, hey guys, go follow our show. There's gonna be like just tons of videos. Like, hey guys, go ahead and follow our show. Smash that like button.
It's the same video over and over again.
Posted
guys.
so many times with different hashtags. See if I can get into the algorithm to get on the For You page. Dude.
It's just like different things. It's like, hey, if you want to see a really cool life hack, click the link, and every single link is just
Automatically subscribes to the Average Joe
Yeah.
Football Show.
gotcha. Automatically subscribes to our Patreon. The second you click that link, you're paying for it. So, yeah.
Second you click that link, it sends us all of your credit card info.
Yeah.
So
Whether you put your credit card on there or not.
it's less of a TikTok account, more of like a scam.
It's more of a pyramid
It's actually run by
scheme.
a bot also.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, we have nothing to do with
if
it.
there's any comments on, it's not really. It's kind of just a bot.
Yeah, it's less of a social media account and more of a pyramid scheme.
Yeah,
where
of
we
sorts.
where we take your money and we don't give
Yeah.
it back.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a borrow
Sound-
situation.
No, it sounds kind of like rude or like bad when you say it like that, but
Well, listen, we're not giving it back.
no, that's true.
Yeah,
But,
it is what it is. We don't have a Patreon, so I don't know if anybody wants to set one up for us or how does that work?
I don't know how.
A GoFundMe?
No, it's different. Well, I have tried to set up a Patreon, but to set up a Patreon, you need Patreon content.
Oh,
We hardly have time to make normal weekly content,
Yeah.
Joe. How are we supposed to make bonus content for
listen,
a
man.
Patreon?
Yeah, life's busy. We don't have time for a Patreon. Nobody's gonna pay us for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure you guys leave us a 5-star rating, a review,
Evading.
a rating, subscribe. Please subscribe to the show. What the heck are you doing? If you're listening to the show every week and you're not subscribed, you're literally just wasting your own time.
And ours.
You are. You're wasting your time. Don't even listen to the show if
Yeah.
you're not subscribed. Because literally, if you hit the subscribe button, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it does all the hard work for you. All your dumb little brain has to do at that point. Sorry. Just trying to go with the harsh.
Yeah.
just
No,
trying to
keep
be
going.
harsh.
They
All
don't-
your silly little monkey brain has to do is press on the episode. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to try to figure out because it literally downloads the show for you every single
And if
week.
you don't want to listen, you don't even have to press on the show. You can just subscribe and then leave it.
We don't care if you listen.
Uninstall the app. I don't even care.
All we care is about the download.
Yeah.
Just put it on your
Subscribe
other
and-
phone.
Yeah.
I don't
Put
care.
on your burner phone. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Listen, man. We don't need feedback. We just
Yeah.
want the clout.
Yeah. We just need the numbers, really.
Yeah.
That's all.
All you are is a number to us.
Yeah.
Listener.
And we need numbers. But we
so,
do,
yeah.
and that's kind of an encouragement is you are a number, but we need numbers.
No, we need. Listen. Yeah, we
So,
need you.
Really.
Without numbers,
know,
we're
this-
nothing.
Yeah.
I love
And
this.
without you, you're nothing. Oh, sorry. Let me take it again. Without you, we are nothing.
Yeah. I love that at the end of each show, Mike is always super appreciative of the people that listen. He's like, "Hey guys, thank you so much for listening. I have so much fun."
Yes,
and
me
and you at the top of the show are just like, "You stupid idiots.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the show.
If not, why are you wasting your time?
Stop being selfish.
Yeah, it is.
We
selfish.
work so hard for you for this.
Yeah.
Hit the frickin' subscribe button.
It's like a help a brother out situation. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine.
It's like, and we've honestly done a lot of scratching.
Yeah.
And my back is itchy.
Yeah, and I've been itching this entire time.
I know. And it's
with
just
no satisfaction of getting your back itched.
So please itch our back. Also follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Don't do a whole lot of stuff on Instagram, not gonna lie. Twitter though, I'm trying to post funny stuff. Doesn't get the respect it deserves in my opinion. @_Average Joe Show. Follow Joe on.
I've erased all my social except for Facebook.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna accept any friend requests on Facebook.
at this time.
Yeah. I'm not accepting any questions at this time either. I'm off the social.
Okay.
I think it's toxic. I think it's rotting kids' brains.
I agree.
I think everybody should be off of it, young and old. I don't believe in it. Wow, that's a long drive.
Big touchdown run for Jonathan Taylor as we're talking right now. Wow. Holy smokes, the Colts are just going to do a little upset situation here. Yeah, no, I agree. Social media is bad, but if it wasn't for this podcast...
I could go on an hour rant or conversation about how much I dislike media, social media.
I agree.
But...
we don't
this
literally...
is the Average Joe football show, so we're going to talk about stupid football instead.
We've already gone much too long with this intro. Some other podcasts are like 2 minutes in, they're like, you guys talked for 5 minutes and you didn't talk any football. And it's like, yikes.
You're going to hate this show.
If that's you, I would find a different show.
Yeah.
Because, wow.
But still subscribe. But don't
Yeah, find a different show, but first subscribe.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
You can...
It's not even inconvenient for you. Like, eventually, I think the phone just deletes them if you don't listen. It's maybe. I don't know.
Yep.
Who cares? You have so much storage on your phone, you're fine.
Yep.
Just hit the subscribe button. But without further ado, Joe, unless you have any last-minute remarks.
What, minute remarks? Oh, yeah. No. Sorry, I didn't hear you the first time.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I think I said all I need to say. I think we should get on to some football talk.
All right, let's bring Mike in and talk a little football. We've made it almost entirely through 5 weeks of the NFL season. By the time you're listening to it, we've made it through 5 weeks. We still have the Monday Night Football game as we're recording this right now, but I'm joined, obviously, by my good friend Mike. Mike, how's it going?
Joe, it is going great over here on this side of the border. We are just living life to the fullest. I know we didn't get the fun Thanksgiving weekend that you Canadians got, but we're about 3 weeks out from that, and we get an extra day off, so I cannot wait.
Yeah.
But life has been good. It's been solid.
Very good. Yeah, I was bragging about my Thanksgiving, but then when it comes down to it, the American Thanksgiving, you guys get basically a month off for that, so then you guys will get to do the bragging, and you have a bunch of football on, which is nice, because we don't have extra special football for Canadian Thanksgiving, unless you watch the CFL, but who's going to do that?
Yeah, no, we don't watch that. No, no.
Yeah, no, but I don't know how you enjoyed football. How much football you watched this weekend. What was your thoughts on Week 5 of the NFL season?
Joe, I actually watched quite a bit of football this week, and let me tell you, it was quite the rough week for me. As we'll get to later, probably in the show with Pick'ems. I enjoyed a lot of football this week. Like, football was fun to watch, but it was hard to watch if I'm going according to my picks, because it was just such a down week for me. But what about you? How much football did you watch this week?
Oh yeah, I try to watch as much as I can. I had Monday off, so I got to do a lot more. Like, I got to watch almost like basically highlights and like film of every game, which is something that's tough when I'm working full time. But now that with the extra day off, had a ton of time to go back and watch all the games. So I feel like I'm really prepared for today's episode. You know what I'm saying? But no, you talked about your picks and how it was a rough week for your picks, and we'll get into that at the end of the show. We'll pick Week 6 as well. It's been a weird season. I feel like we've said that every single episode, but it's been tough to predict. A lot of craziness, and that did not change here in Week 5.
No, that definitely did not change. I mean, we saw some great football. We saw some good games. We saw some blowouts. We saw some teams pulling other players into the end zone to help them score. We saw it was. I'm telling you, a lot of great football and fun football. A lot of injuries too. I noticed there was a lot of injuries this week. It sucked to watch that, but I mean, it's part of the game. You know, you play football. You know, the risk of getting hurt is there, but you know, all in all, it was another successful week. And as you know, we're on to Monday, and we got the Ravens and the Colts playing. I love watching football, and I'm so sad that we're already through 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's crazy how quick it went by. Before you know it, we're going to be talking about playoffs and the playoff chase, and then we're going to be in the off season again, and we're going to miss football so much. I feel like sometimes I stress myself out so much, and I was talking to Joe about this before we started recording. I stress myself out so much trying to prep for the podcast, and I want to be as prepared as possible, and I forget sometimes just enjoy football. Like, football is really fun and awesome, and I can sometimes forget it. And the reason that we do this podcast is because we love football, and football is so fun. Even when your team is garbage, Dolphins fans, there's so much good football to be watched. You don't have to waste your time watching bad football because there's a lot of good stuff on TV at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's true, Joe. I mean, like you alluded to, the Dolphins, that was. I will say I was right. I said the first half was going to be close.
Hey, yeah, you did say that. You did say that.
And then it was quite the blowout after. It was quite the embarrassing way to finish the game. I mean, Tom Brady set a new personal record for himself. But one game that was quite interesting for me was actually Thursday night's game. If you want to jump right into it.
Yes,
where we had the Seahawks and Rams playing. And good old healthy Russell Wilson ended up missing like half the game, and he's not going to be starting for like the next 4 to 6 weeks or whatever. That was 6 to 8 weeks with his middle finger injury.
Yeah, I believe they reported anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's gonna miss his first game, I think, of his career.
Yeah.
But hey, we got to see Geno Smith come back in and play some football. And me and Joe know a lot about Geno, as he used to torch the AFC East with the Jets. I mean, was absolutely the dominant. But no, he came in this game,
man, you joke.
And he played solid.
You joke. He never torched the Patriots, but there was one game I very clearly remember. It was the last game of the season, and Geno Smith had the greatest game of his career against the Miami Dolphins, completely torched them. I think he had a perfect passer rating in that game. So listen, you may joke because he never beat the Patriots, but there was one game where he torched the Dolphins.
Well, I will say, Joe, I think he's the only quarterback to ever beat Tom Brady. Is it rookie quarterback or only quarterback to ever beat Tom Brady in the playoffs? I think it was rookie quarterback or something. He did something against the Patriots that no one has ever, like no other quarterback had ever done as a rookie or something like that. I read a stat somewhere.
I think I saw something like that too, that he had like the best numbers against Bill Belichick or Tom Brady as a rookie or something like that.
It was something.
So, listen, Geno Smith, he's underrated, man.
Dude, and I tweeted about it. I tweeted about it during the game. Put Geno in, get rid of Russ. Geno was cooking. I mean, Geno came in, and it's like the Rams' defense just couldn't rush anymore. Like, he had such an effect on the game, they didn't even know how to pass rush. Where was Aaron Donald that last quarter and a half?
Yeah.
I mean, they disappeared.
That's true. Okay, so let's kind of set the scene here of what happened on Thursday. And this game happened a while ago, so by the time you guys listen to this, it's been almost a week since the game happened. So we'll try not to spend too terribly much time on this game, but it is a game that's worth talking about because it was a big divisional matchup between the Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams, we haven't even talked about yet, did come out on top, 26-17. This game was pretty chaotic to start off the first half. Kind of a slow start. No scoring in the first quarter, and then a couple around the middle point, I think, of the second quarter. Matthew Stafford had been kind of struggling in this game. He tries to throw a ball away into the end zone, and it gets intercepted, which is if you're trying to throw the ball away and it gets intercepted, that's a bad look. And then Russell Wilson on the very next drive throws an interception. So just pure chaos to start the game. And then in the second half, the teams kind of got things going a little bit. But then Russell Wilson smacks his hand off. Was it off Aaron Donald's helmet? I believe it was. Yeah,
it was off his hand. It was off his hand.
Oh, off his hand. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
And his finger did not look well. Like, it looked, I don't know, it was bending in a way that your finger does not look like it's supposed to bend. And, you talked about Russell Wilson. This is the first game he's going to miss in his entire career. He's never missed a regular season start. But Geno Smith came into this game, and he kind of played well. Like, I was stunned. Like, he literally looked better than Russell Wilson had looked like up to that point in that game.
Oh, absolutely. It's not even a question. And me and my buddies were watching the game. I was like, watch, Geno Smith's going to come in. He's going to cook. He's going to show everyone that he can still play. And they laughed at me. And then when he scored a touchdown, they didn't laugh anymore. And then he started driving again. I was like, what did I tell you? Man's beast.
I mean, you being so confident about Geno.
He's like a younger Tom Brady, but with legs. I mean, the man can play, Joe.
Listen, you do joke. Geno Smith, the thing about Geno Smith, I don't think he's a good quarterback, and I know you're over-exaggerating a little bit. I don't think he's not a complete disaster. He's okay to have as a backup quarterback. There are worse situations. Like, I know the Seahawks are in a rough spot. Russell Wilson will probably be out for anywhere from 3 to 8 weeks. There are much worse backup quarterbacks than you can have than Geno Smith.
And Joe, let me tell you, the man can take a hit. We all know that from getting punched in the face in New York. So they should not have to worry about finding a replacement. The man can take one.
100%. But no, it was a big time win for the Los Angeles Rams. They kind of separate them, and the Cardinals the last few weeks have kind of separated themselves from the Seahawks and the 49ers in that division. They're kind of at the top. The other two teams, I think, got some work to do to make up some ground in that division. But who would have guessed that this Thursday night game would end with the crowd at one point chanting Geno, Geno, Geno. I don't know if you heard that, the crowd chanting Geno.
I did not hear the Geno Smith chants, but I think it's because I was busy being too loud doing my own Geno chants.
You were chanting yourself. Very good. But it did end, unfortunately. Tyler Lockett slipped on a route. Geno ends up throwing an interception that ended the game. What's that face, Mike?
More of a controversial knee tripping call that we don't need to get into, but
the ultimate Geno defender here, Mike. We could just talk the rest of the podcast about Geno Smith, I think. I didn't know you were this passionate about Geno Smith.
Joe, on an overreaction Monday, I have to be passionate about Geno Smith.
That's what we do. And for the Seahawks, I think there were some lessons to be learned in this game. That's how much Russell Wilson, as good as Geno Smith did play, and he looked really good in this game, I think Russell Wilson is a really big part of this team. Like, he is, you talked about before the season, him being the most valuable player to any team. It's going to be tough without him. I think this roster there's some big time holes in this roster. And if he's out for closer to 8 weeks, I don't think this team can even sniff the playoffs without Russell Wilson. Their next 3 games, which Russell Wilson, I think at most will be out 3 games. I don't know if they've put him on IR yet. I would assume that they probably will if they haven't. But if they do, he'll be out for at least 3 weeks. The next 3 games for Seattle are Pittsburgh, New Orleans, and Jacksonville, which are actually 3 games that are fairly winnable. So you're hoping Geno can hold it together. But that kind of wraps up recapping the Thursday night game. Why don't we move on, Mike, if you're ready, move on to some of the Sunday night games. And I want to start things off in Los Angeles for potentially what could be the game of the year when it's all said and done. That was the Cleveland Browns going into SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California, and they put on a show with the Los Angeles Chargers, a 47-42 victory for the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert continues to be an absolute shooting star. He is unbelievable. 26 for 43, 398 yards, 4 touchdowns. Mike Williams has an incredible game. He has 165 yards to the air and 2 touchdowns. And then Austin Eckler, that guy's unbelievably underrated. I don't know, this season it really came to my attention how unbelievable Austin Eckler really is. That guy is really, really good.
Yeah, for sure. And I would just like to tell everyone that I told you so. I feel like there was a lot of haters out there when I said that the Chargers were going to win the division, of all the Chief bandwagoners, as we must say. And I mean, hey, look at these Chargers go. Listen. 4-1. Absolutely bolted up right now.
Bolted all the way up.
Justin Herbert dominated in this game. He looked amazing. But hey, I don't want to discredit what the Browns did. I saw somewhere, what was it? Bart Scott, I think, said that Baker Mayfield is a quarterback or is a replaceable quarterback. How can someone do less with so much more on his offense? Like, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Whoa.
The man had 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, 23 for 32. Nick Chubb, 161, a touchdown. David Njoku, 149 yards off 7 catches and a touchdown. They put up 42 points. Yeah. Was Baker supposed to go out there with a half torn shoulder and play defense? I mean, hard to win football games when your defense is giving up 47 points.
Yeah, that is a little. I'm not totally 100% sold on Baker as like a franchise quarterback, but I've always been a Baker fan. I liked him coming out of the draft. He was my favorite quarterback in that draft. And I think that's a ridiculous statement to say that Baker Mayfield is a replaceable quarterback at this point. To me, Baker Mayfield, he's a very, very good quarterback. And I think he's struggled the last few weeks, so people kind of forget what he's capable of doing. But when he's going, he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL. And, yeah, that is not – I mean, I understand they have weapons and they have a good offensive line, but they're missing a lot at receiver. I know he has Odell Beckham, but, I mean, they haven't been able to get much going there as far as that goes. But I don't know. I wouldn't say that he's not able to do anything, especially scoring 42 points against what is a pretty good defense in Los Angeles. But I thought it was a good performance by Baker. Nick Chubb also had an incredible game. 21 carries, 161 yards, and a touchdown. Kareem Hunt had 61 yards on the ground. This game was unbelievable. It was kind of the Browns had themselves a decent lead for most of the game, and then the Chargers come back from down 14, and then the fourth quarter is when things started popping off for this game. I was kind of watching multiple games at once. I was watching Red Zone there for a little bit on Sunday, and then all of a sudden I saw this game, and it seemed like every 5 minutes the Red Zone would pop up and be like, oh, somebody's scoring. Somebody scored a touchdown. So I was like, okay, looks like I'm switching over to this game full time. And man alive, was it worth it. This fourth quarter was pure chaos, Mike.
Joe, they scored a combined, 41 points
41
alone in the fourth quarter. They almost combined scored more than the Browns scored, and the Browns scored 42 points. That's ridiculous.
It was, yeah.
And what sucks is I actually didn't even watch this game. I was watching the Cowboys game. So I missed like one of the best games of the season.
Yeah.
I saw it in the highlights later. I was like, what was I doing? Like, I knew the Cowboys were going to blow out the Giants anyway. But yeah, it was nuts. It was touchdown after touchdown, score after score.
Yep.
And like I alluded to earlier, or like I said earlier, you get down to under 2 minutes, and we got the Browns pulling Austin Eckler into the end zone to let him score. Like, the Browns were trying to let the Chargers score at one point.
That's a crazy part of this game that we got to talk about. The end of the game, there's probably, I think it was past the 2-minute warning already. The Chargers are in field goal range. They're down by 1 point, I believe, because Cleveland, I think, played pretty scared at the end of the game, trying to hold on to that 1 point lead. Instead of playing aggressive, they gave the Chargers the ball back. They marched down the field. They're in field goal range. The Chargers aggressively trying to not score. Austin Eckler actually did a pretty good job on the earlier downs of sliding. He had a chance to get a touchdown. He didn't. So then he rushes from about the 3-yard line probably, and you can tell he wants to go down at the 1-yard line, but the Browns literally push him into the end zone so that their offense can get the ball back. That was a hilarious part of this game and just kind of added to pure chaos that this game was, and what an incredible game it was. But I do want to talk a little bit about Justin Herbert.
We have to.
I think it's at this point he's very much in the MVP race. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but he is only a second-year player.
Joe, I would have to say he's one of the front runners in the MVP race. I mean, he's got the Chargers at 4-1, and I mean, when you put up 400 yards on 26 attempts or 26 completions and have 4 touchdowns and no interceptions, a QBR rating of 122, I mean, and this isn't a one-time thing. The Chargers have looked great this year. They've had some flashes of poor play, I will say that. But I mean, Justin Herbert has looked great this entire year. He's sitting at almost 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Like, the man's here balling this year. And
he does it. I know he does it better than anybody. Like, the way he throws the football is just, I mean, it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know Patrick Mahomes said in the offseason, like, you know, someone some fan yelled at him in a golf tournament, like, hey, the Chargers are going to be good this year. And he says, I'll see it when I believe it, or I'll believe it when I see it, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we're seeing it right now. The Chargers, they look dominant.
Absolutely. People need to take notice, and I think people are the last few weeks. And listen, okay, I'm a Dolphins fan. I understand the Dolphins could have picked Justin Herbert when they picked Tua, okay? You guys don't need to keep reminding me, okay? I know. I don't forget. Stop ruining. I want to enjoy watching Justin Herbert, but people refuse to let me enjoy.
Joe, the Dolphins could have had Justin Herbert. Did you know that?
Really? Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I forgot that happened only, 2 drafts ago, okay?
Oh, dude, they should have taken him, honestly.
I think that's a fair statement at this point. But yeah, you talked about Herbert's stats on the season. He's 4th in the league in passing yards. He's 3rd in passing touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. To me, he's a star. He's a future Hall of Famer. I know that sounds insane to say right now, but just off of looks, I'm not putting him in the Hall of Fame at this point yet.
He's a good-looking boy, Joe. I know what you're talking about.
Handsome, yes, he's going to be in the good-looking Hall of Fame as well with his hair. And you know, people want to talk crap about his acne. Listen, as somebody who struggles with adult acne like myself, I can empathize with that. He's a good-looking man.
I mean, to be honest, with that hair, he's got to watch out for Urban Meyer. I mean, he's got to keep his eyes out.
No, man, it ain't blonde. He's okay.
Yeah, true.
He's okay. No, but the Chargers, and you talked about how people doubted you when you put the Chargers. I thought you were crazy. I'm not going to lie. I thought you were crazy for saying the Chargers win this division. And listen, you so far through 5 weeks, and I even had some friends who were like, your cousin's insane. Your co-host is insane for putting the Chargers winning the division. And it seemed like a crazy thing, but you called your shot. And listen, it's not over yet. The Chiefs, could make some noise, but through 5 weeks,
absolutely,
you don't look crazy. You don't look crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, and I'm not, some football guru that did so much analytic studies that I was like, oh yeah, no, this is scientific. This is going to happen. No, I've been such a Chief hater, but I followed him all of last season. I watched them in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes was a bit hurt. He struggled. Their offensive line struggled in the Super Bowl. They looked bad. And to start the year, it's been similar. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes can't do anything. He's trying to run around. He's trying to make something happen. I think Patrick Mahomes is trying too much and too hard to be Patrick Mahomes. Like, no, just let it flow. You can, run 15 yards to the right and sling it across the field onto the left side and, find an open receiver. But I think he's trying too hard to make plays and push plays. Yeah. That's why the Chiefs are struggling. And their defense also is not looking solid at all. Like, their defense got torched last night. And so that's why I was like, you know what? The Chargers look good. I know they didn't have a great record. Brought in a new coach. Justin Herbert had a solid year. I think the Chargers can definitely be a team to reckon with.
Yeah, I like that. I actually agree. And I talked about this, I think, on 2 podcasts ago. It might have been the one where you weren't here, but I agree. Sometimes I think Patrick Mahomes tries to do too much. Like, it's like you have Andy Reid. He's a very, very good play caller. He's one of the best one of the best head coaches in NFL history. I don't know. To me, sometimes it's like, just trust the offense. Some of the things Patrick Mahomes does, it's like you're trying to do too much. But anyways, to wrap up this game, the Chargers versus the Browns, I have a crazy stat. Entering Sunday afternoon, this is from NFL on CBS on Twitter is where I found this. Entering Sunday afternoon, NFL teams were 401-0 in the Super Bowl era when scoring 40 points in a game without committing a turnover. So scoring 40 points without committing a turnover, a team had never lost. 401-0. The Browns, with the Browns loss this week, they put up 40 points, no turnovers. That record is now 401-1. The first ever performance of a team putting up 40 points and having no turnovers and losing a game. So,
dude, 3 years ago, that would have been the most Browns thing to do, though. Like, I mean, we would have been like, it's the Browns being the Browns, you know? But
listen,
now it's like, holy cow.
Now they're a good team, and this was a fantastic game. And this is a game we'll talk about, I think, at the end of the season when we're reflecting on the 2021 NFL season. But we talked a little bit about the Kansas City Chiefs. Why don't we move on to that game, the Sunday night football game between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. And the Buffalo Bills with an absolute statement win over the Kansas City Chiefs. We talk about statement wins. To me, there's no better example than this game as a statement win for the Buffalo Bills.
Would you call it a shellacking, Joe?
A shellac. Listen, I would say it's right on the borderline of being a shellacking. You know,
you're kind of a Josh Allen hater. Is it because Josh Allen was in this game that you're not calling it a shellacking,
Joe? Listen, man, I have the right to remain silent. I'm not going to get into it. I know my rights. I don't know how to talk about. You can't make me call something a shellacking. Okay, I'll know when it's a shellacking.
All right. I like that. What were your so did you watch this game? I know you said you've struggled staying up on the Sunday night games because you are a dad now.
Yeah.
And I understand that for you it's an hour later, but did you end up watching this game?
I watched the first half, and I'm not proud. I'm not proud to say. Listen, there was a lightning delay in the second half of this game.
Oh yeah.
The Bills were up. I was very tired. It would and listen, little peek behind the curtain. I was sick this weekend. There's some sickness going around our area here. Some people are getting sick. So I was quite sick at times. So I was just very exhausted by Sunday night. So I will not lie. When the lightning delay happened, I think it was like an hour delay. I did go to bed, and I was like, I'll watch the game. I did. I watched the rest of the game in the morning. But yeah, I did not stay up for the second half. But honestly, Chiefs didn't really show up in the second half either, so I wasn't really missing a whole lot as far as competitive football goes.
Yeah, no, it was honestly, I watched a good chunk of the first half. Honestly, not a whole lot going on. Well, I mean, the second quarter there was quite a bit of scoring. Don't get me wrong. Like Josh Allen had the ball for it felt like 4 minutes tops that entire first half, and they put up 24 points.
I tweeted something in like the first quarter that it feels like the Bills have had the ball for 42 seconds.
You know, it was weird because I wanted to tweet, Josh Allen looks more like Patrick Mahomes than Patrick Mahomes. Like, he was out there just feeling loose, firing the ball 45 yards down the field, and his receivers were making plays, tight ends were making plays, and the Bills just looked good. Like, it was... If you're a Bills fan, I mean, I'm out there jumping on tables, breaking tables in half. I'm having a good time.
Oh yeah.
If I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm walking towards the exit of the stadium because I'm like, I'm not paying. Like when that lightning delay happens, I'm going home. I'm like, I ain't worth risking my life for this.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm not gonna risk getting struck by lightning to watch this defense get absolutely torched. But Josh Allen, you talked about him in this game. This is his first win he's ever gotten against Patrick Mahomes, so a big statement win for him. He finished the game 15 for 26, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had 59 yards on the ground. It seemed like he had a lot more rushing yards than that. Like, to start off this game, he was basically a glorified running back. They were just running him on like almost every play. But a good game for the Bills offense. And Patrick Mahomes, we talked about him trying to do too much, struggling a little bit at times. The Chiefs defense, I think, was the big takeaway from this game. In my notes, I have the Chiefs defense equals poopy because that's how they played in this game. The Chiefs defense was horrible in this game. I mean, wide open receivers all over the field for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen was able to, scramble and find open receivers. There was a couple plays where Josh Allen, there was nobody even around. I think Stephon Diggs had a 60-plus yard touchdown. Dawson Knox had a big touchdown where he was wide open after a bunch of Josh Allen scrambling. So this defense for the Chiefs, I thought, was the biggest disappointment for Kansas City in this game.
Yeah, no, Joe, the defense struggled for sure in Kansas City. Like I kind of was talking about, Patrick Mahomes trying too hard. Defense clearly doesn't seem like they're trying hard enough. But let's definitely not take credit away where credit is due. And, Josh Allen looked great in this game. And it's kind of a funny stat because Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were both the leading rushers for their teams. I know Clyde Edwards-Helaire went down with an injury. But, Josh Allen, 15 for 26, only 15 completed passes, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. Had 59 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. He just had, one of those games that, makes you think that Josh Allen's also, in the MVP race for sure. But his tight end, Dawson Knox, totally went off for 3 catches, almost 20 yards and a touchdown. So the Bills just, with another solid outing, really hurt to watch because I'm a Pats fan and we're trying to chase them down in the division. But, you cannot take away what the Buffalo Bills are doing right now. They went into Kansas City and just absolutely dominated the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep, 100%. It was like I said, statement win for the Buffalo Bills. Literally could not have been a better win. They dominated. It really wasn't close. The Bills just completely outplayed the Kansas City Chiefs. And that defense, I know we talked about last week how I'm not worried about the Kansas City Chiefs, and we'll talk about them in the Contenders or Pretenders segment as well. We'll talk about that a little bit. And I'm not so much worried, but listen, this defense is bad. And for the most part, the offense is good enough to overcome. However, the offense cannot have a slow game against the Buffalo Bills, because the Buffalo Bills are a team that can score with the Kansas City Chiefs. They just can. And even if their offense is not quite to the level that the Kansas City Chiefs are, their defense is a lot better than the Kansas City Chiefs defense is. The Bills defense really impressed me in this game. They did not blitz Patrick Mahomes a single time. Literally never sent a blitz at him in this game. I believe that's the only I saw something that since Next Gen Stats has been around, that's the only game in history, in NFL history, where no blitzes were sent. They did not send one blitz at Patrick Mahomes. They just covered everybody. They basically said, we're just going to pray and try to cover everybody. They did an incredible job. And with this Chiefs defense, you cannot lay an egg like that playing against the Buffalo Bills, because they can score with the Kansas City Chiefs. So a big statement win for the Bills. And real quick, before we jump on to the next game, huge breaking news just hit. I don't know if you saw it, Mike. I was just checking Twitter. We had a little bit of technical difficulty, so if something happens here in the last few minutes, if it sounded a little weird, just sorry about that, but technical difficulties. But massive news, as John Gruden has just informed the Las Vegas Raiders he is stepping down as head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
You are kidding me.
I'm not kidding. I literally had to scroll through. I was stunned. Literally, John Gruden is stepping down as the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Raider head coach just stepped down after emails containing racist, sexist, and anti-gay remarks were made public.
Holy. Wow. I heard that there were more emails. It was not just the apparent. I know. So for those of you that don't know, John Gruden, emails came out from 11 years ago where he was insulting the VP of I believe the NFL Players Association, the NFLPA, DeMaurice Smith, I believe his name is, and he called him like something dumb Morris Smith with big Michelin tire lips, which obviously horrible thing to say.
Yeah, can't say it.
Cannot say that, especially with the racial implications of the big lips thing. You cannot say it. Say something like that. Yep. Horrible. We denounce that 100%. And then there was also reports that there was more than just that. I had not seen anything else at this point. I don't know if, Mike, you saw any other reports of any other things that he had said.
That's all I had seen up to this point. So that when I'm seeing that there was more things out there, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So apparently he had said some misogynistic and homophobic things, and I don't want to get too much into that because obviously we do not condone any of that. But just shocking, stunning, unbelievable. And most of these emails, I believe, were released. And again, I don't have the full context about the other emails other than the DeMaurice Smith one. I hope I'm getting his name right, DeMaurice Smith. I think it is DeMaurice Smith, but I could be wrong. I don't know the other emails, what the content is in them. But this email happened 11 years ago. I think he was still on Monday Night Football at that point. He was not the head coach of the Raiders. But in his second stint with the Las Vegas Raiders, wow, I'm stunned. I'm honestly at a loss for words. I don't even know what to say about John Gruden.
I'm shocked because the Raiders had been looking good up until this past week. Yesterday they didn't play good against the Bears at all. I feel like a lot of that might have had to do with the emails getting leaked. He had probably a lot on his mind during the game, and that is just wow. Like, I did not see this one coming. We had the Urban Meyer incident. Now with the John Gruden incident, like almost the same weekend or like a following couple days later. Like, it's watch out for your head coaches. I mean,
listen,
things don't look good.
It's crazy. And to me, if it was any other head coach, I wouldn't be as shocked. But something about, John Gruden, and the Raiders love John Gruden so much, and John Gruden loves the Raiders, and John Gruden and the Raiders basically go hand in hand, almost like, not to this extent, but Al Davis and the Raiders. Like, Al Davis, I think, like John Gruden, and it was like, it's just stunning. Wow, unbelievable. I think he's stepping down, so it must have been a mutual parting of ways, but just... that news stunned me. I literally had to go onto Twitter and check multiple sources to make sure. But that is official. John Gruden, you're hearing live on this podcast as we're recording it. This happened.
That is nuts.
Breaking news. And you talked about the Raiders looking really good. They looked good. They were 3-0 and they've lost 2 games in a row. What a turn for this Las Vegas Raiders team, and they'll now be looking for a new head coach to try to take over there. And the thing that sucks to me, and I don't want to speak too much on stuff that I don't know much about, but John Gruden, as much as he's a goofball and like some of the things about him, I always thought he was a good dude. Like he's really seemed like a good guy. Yeah. And honestly, it kind of makes me a little sad, all this. And I hope that he can, I don't know. I hope that he can, I don't know.
I hope he can find happiness in whatever he proceeds to do past football. I hope that he can, I saw he apologized for a lot of things, which, you have to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I hope he's able to find happiness. I hope he's able to find, something that he's passionate about, just as passionate about as football. Hope he's able to find something that he can do outside of the football world.
Yeah.
It's just shocking. I feel like if he would have got fired, it would have been less surprising to me than resigning.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. The resigning
that's
aspect.
Crazy.
And listen, obviously, again, I want to say that we denounce any racist comments, and we do not agree.
100%.
We do not agree with John Gruden. Obviously, that is without being said. But I as a person believe in forgiveness, and I hope that after time, hopefully, if John Gruden shows that he is not the same man that made these remarks, and I think people can change. I hope that he, like you said, he can find happiness, and this sucks for him because I know that he loved coaching the Raiders, and again, it sucks for him, but also, there are consequences to your actions, and he shouldn't have said, and again, we do denounce that, and those are things that should not have been said, but just crazy. Wow, I almost don't even know where to go from this. Just a crazy breaking news here, live on the podcast.
I mean, I know it's kind of a weird turn, but we can go from one crazy thing with Gruden resigning to another crazy thing, watching the Bengals and Packers miss 5 or 6 field goals in the final 2 minutes of the game.
We got to move on eventually. Yeah, why don't you bring us into this game, Mike?
It was, again, I will say I picked the Bengals to win this game, and I almost looked good doing it. And again, Bengals, Packers, what a showdown. Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow. You would not be saying, like last year, you probably wouldn't have thought like, hey, this is going to be a showdown, it's going to be a close game. But Aaron Rodgers goes 344 yards, 27 for 39, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Joe Burrow, 281 yards on 26 for 38, pass completions, 2 attempts, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Jamar Chase and Devontae Adams had a showdown in the receiver category. Jamar Chase went 159 yards on 6 catches and a touchdown, and Devontae Adams 206 yards on 11 catches and a touchdown. So all in all, it was an explosive game to watch. But coming down the stretch, as a kicker watching this game, you have to be in pain.
Oh yeah.
I mean, watching miss field goal after you think Mason Crosby is one of the most clutch kickers in the NFL, which he proved later on in this game because the Packers did win.
Yep.
But, you miss so many field goals. But I will say, Joe, I feel so terrible for the Bengals kicker. I'm kind of blanking at his name
Evan McPherson.
at the moment. There we go.
Evan McPherson.
The man kicks it. It looked like it was going dead center through the through the uprights, and then you could see the wind take the ball and just it drew straight to the left, and it taps the flag up on the goalpost, and he's celebrating like he won the game.
Oh, that was so brutal.
And someone had to tell him, "You missed the field goal." Like the memes and the roasts and just everything he's gonna face now after he thought we beat the Packers. I kicked the game-winning field goal. And sure enough, it was not the game-winning field goal.
The thing is, too, Evan McPherson, he's a rookie, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He's actually been a really good kicker so far this season. I think he's hit 1 or 2 game winners. But that was brutal to see him missing the kick. It hits off the flag on the top of the upright, and he thinks it's in. And he said something like he thought that the officials were playing a joke on him. He thought that they were messing with him because he said, I struck it well. No. I thought it went through. But just horrible kicker luck in this game. There was 5 missed field goals. Get this. In the final 2 minutes and 12 seconds and overtime. 5 missed field goals. Mason Crosby, I think, had 3 opportunities before.
Yep.
3 opportunities to he all in all, he missed an extra point and 3 field goals. Evan McPherson, for as good as he's been this season, he missed both of his field goal attempts in this game. And then the game went to overtime, and still neither kicker wanted to win this game. Both teams refused. Joe Burrow, although he played pretty well, and he ended up having to go to the hospital after this game because he had
some kind of throat.
What
contusion.
Did he have? Throat contusion, which sounds unbearable. Holy smokes, that sounds awful. Credit to him for staying in the game. He is tough as nails. But Joe Burrow played well, had a really bad interception. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Packers could not even capitalize off that. But later on in the game, Mason Crosby hits a 49-yard kick to finally redeem himself and finally end this game. A 25-22 victory for the Green Bay Packers. In this game, you talked about Aaron Rodgers. We did have a connection issue. I don't know if you talked about Davante Adams, but he was unbelievable in this game. 11 catches.
Got me a lot of fantasy
There you
points.
go. I can't even imagine. 11 catches, 206 yards, and a touchdown. When he is clicking, when him and Aaron Rodgers are clicking, they're one of the most, if not the most, unstoppable duo in the NFL. And then you had Aaron Jones also chipping in 100 yards.
Yep.
And listen, another really good duo, a young budding duo, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. He went through it in the preseason, and I was right along there with the people, and saying it did not look good
here.
with the not being able to catch the ball. He's been unbelievable this season. He had another, I think, 70-yard touchdown in this game. He finished 6 receptions, 159 yards, and a touchdown. What a game! A crazy game. But who would have guessed? In the preseason we'd be talking about the Bengals going toe-to-toe with the Green Bay Packers. In one heck of a game.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And I want to say it was Davante Adams who came out and said, a lot of people, I think he said, a lot of people were, saying they should have won this game, but this isn't the Bengals from last year or 2 years ago. This is a good football team. And we're watching it right in front of our eyes. I mean, the Bengals aren't playing like the Bengals used to play. They're playing like a whole new team. And again, another thing I kind of said before the season started, if Joe Burrow can gain some confidence in the knee, if the offensive line can protect Joe Burrow, which at times seems like they just want him to die, the Bengals can be a good team. Right now they're sitting second in the division. Well, it'll depend on the Ravens game, I guess, tonight. But yeah, they're sitting second in the division. They're looking they're in the hunt for the wild card spot. I know we're only 5 games in, but still the Bengals are a totally new team, and they're looking like, hey, they could be here to stay.
Yep.
But we'll just have to kind of wait and see how the season plays. But on the other side of the ball, of course, we got the Packers, and like you said, Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers have just been lethal these past few years, and they're honestly very fun to watch. And with all the controversy in the off season, I did not expect the Packers to still be as good of a football team as they are, even though this was quite a close game. I figured the Packers would be a pretty terrible football team with everything that went around their team this year, surrounded their team. But Packers are looking also like one of those teams that could be kind of dangerous, going into the postseason.
Yeah, they're turning around. They're 4-1. They're right basically in the position that they were expecting to be in. So after a tough start in week 1, they've looked really good through the last 4 weeks. But that kind of wraps up the big games. Why don't we quickly go through, before we get to our contenders and pretenders, where we might bring up the Bengals as well, why don't we go through some of the other games, the rest of the games that we're not going to talk too much about, but just a brief summary, any takeaways from the game. Why don't we start off in London, England, with the New York Jets against the Atlanta Falcons, a 27-20 victory for the Falcons. And my takeaway from this game was Kyle Pitts finally having that breakout game that we were waiting for. 9 receptions, 119 yards, and a touchdown in a decent victory over in England for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know if you have any takeaways from this game, Mike.
My takeaway is I absolutely hate Kyle Pitts because I traded him in fantasy because he did nothing, and now he goes off for like 27 points.
I think that...
No, Falcons played great in this game.
Listeners of the podcast, if Mike, you should just message Mike on Instagram or on Twitter, and if whoever he's trading away, make sure you pick up that player because they're going to do really good the next week. Because then you trade Tyreek.
Tyreek, 48 points next week. Trade away Kyle Pitts, 27 points next week.
So you're a curse.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we move?
I mean, in my pick'em show, it was pretty bad. So
yeah, we'll get to that as well. Why don't we move on to the next game? New Orleans at Washington. Don't have a whole lot to say, but vintage Alvin Kamara showed up. 122 all-purpose yards, 2 touchdowns, in a 33-22 victory over the football team. Any takeaways for you, Mike?
We got the LASIK surgery. Jameis Winston back, Joe. He's back, and he's ready to play.
He's back. He turned it back on. And on to the next game, Detroit at Minnesota. Minnesota survives what was a colossal choke job near the end of this game. A 54-yard game-winning kick for Greg Joseph. Any takeaways in a 19-17 victory for the Vikings, Mike?
How do you allow 2 games to slip away with less than a minute on the clock when you're up, like going into the I can't, Joe. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, that's your Lions, man. The
Lions are hurting me.
Did you see? Okay, real quick. I don't want to. We're trying to speed things along here, but did you see Dan Campbell after this game? He cried. Yeah, he had a post-game press conference, and I think a lot of people might make fun of it, and I understand a little bit. Crying is maybe a little bit far.
Passion.
But I love Dan Campbell, and I know you've been on him.
Dude.
You've been on him through 5 weeks, and he might, who knows, he might never be an amazing coach. But to see the passion that guy has for this game, especially when the head coach of my football team is Brian Flores, a guy who just uses the same freaking excuses every week and shows no emotion whatsoever in his press conferences, to have a guy sit like Dan Campbell crying at the podium, just saying our players they tried so hard and it hurt him so bad to not walk out of there with a win. I love that out of Dan Campbell, and to see that passion, more coaches I think need to show passion like that.
Joe, he will forever be a great head coach for showing that side of himself, for opening himself up for that.
Yep.
I'm not going to say he's going to be one of the winningest head coaches, but he, I think, is one of the greatest head coaches in the NFL just for showing that much passion.
Absolutely.
For the game and his team.
Just caring about your players like that. Like, I think so many coaches lack that. I think guys like Mike Tomlin are really good with that too. Mike Tomlin, I think, is really good when it comes to just being passionate and compassionate for his players, and it's genuinely like a family atmosphere. Whereas guys like, Bill Belichick, for as great as he is as a coach, he's never been that kind of a guy. And it is nice
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to see a guy genuinely, you can tell Dan Campbell loves what he does. So shout out to Dan Campbell.
Exactly.
On to the next game.
MCDC.
Yeah, very good. And on to the next game. Speaking of Mike Tomlin, his Steelers get a 27-19 victory over the Denver Broncos. The Pittsburgh offense finally shows up a little bit. Najee Harris has a pretty good game. And Big Ben plays all right. Any takeaways from this game, Mike?
I really don't have many takeaways other than Ben Roethlisberger finally had a decent game. He finally didn't look like he was 50 years old.
Fair enough. We won't spend too much time on this. We won't spend too much time on this next game either. The Jacksonville Jaguars fall 19-17 to the Tennessee Titans. Nice bounce back win for the Titans against the Legally Blonde Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well said. Well said. Nope.
No.
Derrick Henry looked dominant once again.
Very good. The Titans, they needed that win. If you were to lose to the Jets and then then the Jaguars the next week, yikes, you might have to sell your franchise. But on to the next game, Philadelphia at Carolina. This was kind of a back-and-forth game for a lot of this game. Looked like Carolina would pull it out, but a blocked punt at the end of the game for the Eagles secures a win in an ugly game for the Eagles. Darius Slay had 2 interceptions, and that defense picked off Sam Darnold 3 times in this game.
Sam Darnold, what are you doing? You're throwing away your season.
There you go. On to the next game. Chicago at Las Vegas. We just talked about the Raiders having to look for a new head coach. Justin Fields is getting better. He's not setting the world on fire. He's getting better, and that's all you can really ask for a rookie. Any takeaways for you from this game, Mike?
Well, without a head coach, I'm curious if the Raiders will just collapse again, kind of like they did last year.
That's a good question. We might get into that in the next segment. Then San Francisco at Arizona. The Cardinals moved to 5-0, spoiling the debut of Trey Lance, who played all right, but I think Trey Lance has a long way to go before he gets to where he needs to be.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And again, Cardinals and Kyler Murray, just absolutely dominant.
Yep, 5-0, the only undefeated team left in the NFL. And then the New York Giants versus the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys handle business against a Daniel Jones-less and Saquon Barkley-less New York Giants team. A 44-20 victory. Listen, the Cowboys just handled business. It sucks to see Daniel Jones, who has been playing well, go out. He had a scary concussion in this game. And then Saquon had a brutal ankle injury. Any takeaways for you in this game, Mike?
The Cowboys with Dak in that run game, if they can remain balanced, they are going to be a dominant football team for the rest of the season.
Yep, and we'll probably get into them in the next segment as well. And then New England at Houston. New England just barely survives a surge from Davis Mills in this game, a 25-22 victory. Mike, I'll let you take the reins on this one.
I'm not going to say much. What I am going to say is our defense couldn't get off the field. They made Davis Mills look like the greatest quarterback in the NFL. But thank you to Mac Jones for hanging in there and doing everything he could to help win that football game.
Crazy to think that Mac Jones wasn't the best rookie quarterback wearing the number 10 on the field against the Houston Texans. I'm just saying. And then on to the final game. My stupid Miami Dolphins falling 17-45 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not going to lie. I was kind of impressed in the first quarter. I was expecting them to get blown out, not score any points. The blowout part was true. They ended up getting blown out in the end. Jacoby Brissett played all right. He was not the problem in this game. The defense looked lazy. They looked like they did not want to play for their head coach. And just a pitiful performance. And just to put in perspective how tough this season has been on Dolphins fans, our team stinks. And then we have to watch Justin Herbert be the greatest thing ever when our quarterback's on IR. And then the Bills, the team that's at the top of our division, look like one of the best teams in football. And overall, just not a great time. Oh, yeah, by the way, we don't even have our first round pick in this upcoming draft. That belongs to the Eagles. So, I don't know. Not a great time to be a Dolphins fan, but it's always a great time to be a football fan. So
absolutely.
Why don't we move on to our final segment before our pick'ems, a little segment we're calling Contenders or Pretenders. Mike, we're going to go over some teams that have good records, some teams that have impressed through 5 weeks, and we're going to let you know whether or not we think they are legitimate, and this is Super Bowl contenders. We're not talking playoff contenders.
Yes.
We're not talking wild card contenders. We're talking, are these teams Super Bowl contenders? And the first team I want to start off with is a team that we talked about at the top of the show, and that's the Los Angeles Chargers. Mike, I want to get your opinion. Are the Los Angeles Chargers, and I think I know your answer, are the Chargers a legitimate Super Bowl contender, or are they a Super Bowl pretender?
Joe, they are an absolute Super Bowl contender. Stamp that in. Their offense looks absolutely dominant. Defense looks like it needs a bit of work, but Justin Herbert just leading that offense down the field. You have Mike Williams, you have, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, can't forget about him. That team absolutely put on a show this past weekend, and I feel like they're just going to continue to put on shows like that with the offense they have. I called it in the before the season started, and I have a good feeling that they're going to finish strong.
You did. You called your shot. And listen, I don't care about the Tua and Herbert thing. I don't care that I'm a Dolphins fan. I want to enjoy the Chargers, so I'm going to enjoy the Chargers. And I absolutely think they're a Super Bowl contender. And to me, I have a few reasons why I think they're a Super Bowl contender. The first step to being a Super Bowl contender is having a quarterback. If you have your franchise quarterback, you're halfway there. You're more than halfway there. You're 3/4 of the way there. And they absolutely have their franchise quarterback. Justin Herbert is a special, special player. And then to make things better, if you want to just be a legitimate Super Bowl contender, you need the quarterback, and also you need the head coach. And to me, they have the head coach. Brandon Staley is absolutely the real deal when it comes to the head coach position. He looks like the real deal. And here's a few stats for me, what make the Chargers so special. You talked about their offense being so explosive, and that's absolutely true. They're one of the best teams in the league on 3rd and 4th down. And to me, that is so key because it shows they can win in key situations, which is something you need to do when it comes to being a Super Bowl contender. They are 48.5% on 3rd downs, which is 4th in the NFL.
That is nuts.
4th in the NFL. And you know who's ahead of them? Buffalo, Dallas, Kansas City, and then you have the Rams at 6. So you're in really good company there. Those are other contenders. Yeah. And then on 4th down, they've converted on 7 of 8 4th downs. So they're 87%. That's 3rd in the league. So to me, that shows this team's not only really good, really talented, and they have the talent on the defense as well, but they can win when you need them to win. And to me, the Chargers are absolutely a Super Bowl contender. But on to another team in the AFC West, and we talked about them again at the top of the show. Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Mike, are they still a legitimate Super Bowl contender, or are they now, after struggling a few weeks, are they a pretender?
Joe, again, people are going to be blown away by this. I'm going to say they are a pretender this year.
Okay.
We watched them last year get destroyed in the Super Bowl. And so far throughout the season, a lot of teams have seemed to figure out how to stop the Chiefs. They've done it in multiple different ways. As you saw, the Bills did not blitz once yesterday, got the win. Patrick Mahomes couldn't do anything. We've seen teams just all out blitzing. Patrick Mahomes has no time to throw the ball. So what does he do? Throws it up, doesn't work. They double team Tyreek, or they try to double team Travis Kelce. Of course, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not going to, him being out is not going to be helping their case. Their defense has been struggling this year. If they continue kind of going down this path, they're going to. I just do not think they're going to be able to fight their way back, especially with how much success the Los Angeles Chargers are having. So I'm going to list them as a Super Bowl pretender.
Okay, listen, that might sound crazy, but you've called your shot a few times, and you've been right on a few situations. And for me, I still think they're a contender. I realize they've struggled, and I know that defense is bad, and they have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. There's no beating around that. But I talked about, what did I just say? The key to being a Super Bowl contender, having the quarterback, and then the second thing, having the head coach. And I think those two things, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, as tough as things are right now, listen, they may not be as dominant as they have been in years past, but when you have those two things, I think you can mask a lot of issues on your football team. And that's my opinion. I just have a feeling they will be able to figure things out at some point this season.
One quick stat before we move on to the next one. The Chiefs defense has allowed the most points in the NFL up to this point.
Wow. Yeah, and that's not good. That's not good.
Yeah, no.
You don't want that. Yeah, that's their defense is. Listen, their defense is certainly not a championship contender. I can tell you that for sure. They're not a championship level defense. But I'm just banking on the fact that Patrick Mahomes is really good. Andy Reid is really good. Tyreek Hill's really good. Travis Kelce's really good, and I think their offensive line is improved. I think they'll get better as the season goes along. But who knows? Maybe that time has passed. And now on to a team that got a little bit more interesting with the news that happened very recently. Another AFC West team, the Las Vegas Raiders. Mike, what do you think? Are they a contender or are they a pretender sitting at 3-2?
2 weeks ago, I would have labeled the Raiders as contenders. But after these last 2 weeks, especially this loss against the Bears, And then, of course, losing your head coach. Can't forget that one. I'm going to have to label them as pretenders. Joe, we watched it happen last year. They had a pretty hot start only to collapse. And I don't know what happened to the Raiders. Where's their magic? Like, they only put up 9 points this last week, coming from an offense who had been doing great. They haven't been averaging that many points per game, but yards per game they were right up to the top 10. Pass yards per game they were second. And I mean, I don't see why they all of a sudden just went to pure like they just started struggling out of the blue. It could be because they're what happened with the coaching situation, and the head coach having quite a bit surrounding him. That could have played a big role in this last game, but I'm gonna have to put the Raiders at pretenders this year.
Yep, and I put them at pretenders just to let you guys know before this John Gruden news hit. I think they were a team that started off really hot, 3-0. I think they benefited a little bit from the craziness of the beginning of the season where crazy things can happen. They had a couple of crazy overtime games. I thought they were always playing a little bit above what their talent level was at. And I was not high on them coming into the season, so maybe I'm just a hater. I didn't think that their team was that talented. Their offensive line, I think, is a little, overrated. Their defensive line, I think, will come back down to earth at some point, and I don't think their defense is as talented as they've been playing. And now with John Gruden gone, I think it's safe to say it might be a third year in a row where the Raiders collapse after a pretty good start. And just the vibes, I'm going to go back to the vibes. The vibes in Las Vegas started off real high, not so hot at this point.
Sounds like you're at a blackjack table.
Yeah, sounds exactly. Things were hitting, things were really good. I've never played blackjack, but I'm assuming things can go bad just as quick.
Fairly quickly, Joe. Trust me, it can go south quick.
I'll take your word for it. Why don't we move on to the next team? And I have the Dallas Cowboys, and I'll start things off. I've let you start the last couple, so I'll start this off. I have the Dallas Cowboys as an absolute Super Bowl contender. There's no doubt in my mind. The Dallas Cowboys, listen, it doesn't take much. I've talked about they're my Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't take much for me to get on the Dallas Cowboys bandwagon. To me, they're stacked offensively. They're one of the most talented offenses in the NFL. That offensive line is clicking now. Dak Prescott in this last game, we saw him get twisted around in his ankle. And in case you were wondering if that ankle's fine, it's fine. He's ready to go. He's a top 5 NFL quarterback. They have probably a top 5 running back in Zeke Elliott now that he's back. The receiving core is one of the best in the NFL. And now that the defense, listen, their defense is not good by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, good maybe, but they're not a great defense, but they can play good enough. They're much better than the Chiefs defense, and to me that's enough to make them a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I think they are going to be there at the very end fighting for the NFC Championship, fighting for a Super Bowl title. What do you think, Mike? Are the Cowboys a legitimate Super Bowl contender?
Well, Joe, I would like to just start off by saying that I believe that my wife's Dallas Cowboys are absolutely 100% for sure Super Bowl contenders, all right? People have been brutally trashing the Cowboys this year, saying that, it's always the Cowboys' year. This happens every year. I'm like, no, this is a different year. The Cowboys right now are sitting at second in points per game, first in yards per game, absolutely dominant when they have one of the better passing games. They're sitting at 9th in pass yards, per game, and they're sitting at second in rush yards per game. So, Dak Prescott has been absolutely dominant this year, coming off an injury, and the two-headed running game with Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott has been absolutely lights out. You said the defense needs some work, and I can agree. There are some spots they need to work on, but at the same time, their defense has been amazing. They've shown flashes of greatness. Dan Quinn up there calling great defense. I am excited for this week. They are playing my New England Patriots, so our house will be divided this week. And I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch. Honestly, I think the Cowboys will outscore the Patriots, but if the Pats defense can do what they did against the Bucs, we could be in for a bit of a showdown.
Absolutely. And to me, you mentioned that 9th in passing yards, 2nd in rushing yards. It just shows the balance of this team and that they can beat you in so many different ways. I'm all in on the Cowboys. I think with my team, the Dolphins being poopy, I'm just going to jump on to the Cowboys. I'm all in. They're my team this year. I think they'll absolutely be Super Bowl contenders. But why don't we move on to another team, and it's the Carolina Panthers, another team that got off to a hot 3-0 start. They've now lost, I believe, 2 in a row. I think they're at 3-2 now. Do you have the Carolina Panthers as contenders or pretenders?
Joe, this is another one of them hard ones. It's real difficult to say. I'm going to go ahead and say that the Carolina Panthers are pretenders, and here's why. I believe after 3 wins, I was like, yep, Panthers are definitely contenders. They have a chance. They beat the Jets, the Saints, and the Texans. Yep. Two of those 3 teams have struggled all year long. The Saints, from week to week, I cannot tell what the Saints are going to do. And I mean, they have the Cardinals, they have the Vikings, they got the Bills, the Bucks, and the Bucks again. So they got a few games coming up that are going to be absolutely, they're going to be hard games to play. And after watching what Sam Darnold did in this previous game, 3 interceptions, struggled against the Cowboys. He struggled as well. If the Panthers want a shot, they're going to have to figure out that offense. And I'm sorry, but Robbie Anderson and Sam Darnold really need to get that connection working because it's been a fail between those two. Like I feel like they cannot get anything going between those two. So if their season, if they want to be legit contenders, C-Mac has to stay healthy and those two got to get it figured out.
Yeah, Robbie Anderson, he's had a rough year. Him and Sam Darnold have not been able to get on the same page, which is so weird because they were teammates in New York for a few years. You'd think that they would be able to I don't know, have some chemistry, but no, that has not been there. And I'm on board. I'm saying the Carolina Panthers are pretenders. And listen, a lot of these teams, a team like the Panthers, I'm not saying they're a bad team. That's not at all what I'm saying. I think they'll be a fringe playoff team, maybe just miss the playoffs, still be a really good team. I think they're a young team that's going to hit some bumps, going to hit some speed bumps. I think they have talent. Sam Darnold has been a little overrated at this point. I think a lot of people jumped on the Sam Darnold train saying, oh, look at him now that he's not in New York. He's played okay, but I know I watched him in the Houston game. I was like, wow, this is what everybody's so excited about. He's still, he's not amazing. He's playing okay at times, but he struggled this past week. And listen, being a pretender is fine. You're just not going to compete for a Super Bowl. But on to another team, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll quickly run through the final 2 teams here. The Bengals, I have them also as a pretender at this point. Listen, Bengals fans, this is another team. I'm not hating on the Bengals. I've been so impressed with the Cincinnati Bengals through these first 5 weeks. They've played much better than I would have thought they would have ever played. But again, this to me looks like a fringe playoff team. I think they might make the playoffs. Who knows? We're 5 weeks in. But Joe Burrow's looked really good. As long as they can keep him upright, I think they can maybe squeak into the playoffs. But to me, you just look at the other talent in that division. The Steelers maybe not being quite as bad as we thought. I think it's going to be a tough go-around. I don't think the Bengals are quite ready at this point. What do you think about the Cincinnati Bengals?
I have a lot of praise for the Bengals and what they've done this year, but I'm going to label them also as pretenders. I really love what I've seen out of Joe Burrow. I really love what I've seen out of Jamar Chase, even though in the preseason he was saying how hard it was to catch a football. I've seen a lot of good out of the Bengals, but at the same time, I don't feel like they're ready yet. I don't feel like, they have enough experience. I feel like they're a team that can make it to the playoffs, but I just don't think that they're going to have enough to win a game or win multiple games to get to the Super Bowl. And that's why I'm labeling them as pretenders. I think that, they really, again, they're going to have to bulk up that offensive line to protect Joe Burrow more. And, well, one thing we saw, they need to work on their kicking game because you can't miss that many field goals in a game and expect to win. I'm going to go down the route of the Cincinnati Bengals being pretenders this year.
And that's okay. It's a rebuilding process. Yep. It takes a little while to be a contender, but I think they're moving in the right direction. And then one final team.
Definitely a good football team. Yeah,
definitely a much improved football team from where they were a year ago. And they've really, really surprised me through 5 weeks. And on to the final team is maybe we should speed things up. This has been a long episode, but the Cleveland Browns, are they, in your opinion, a contender or a pretender?
I'm also going to go Pretender.
All right.
And the reason being, I saw them as contenders, but Baker Mayfield is definitely playing hurt. I know they put on a great show here in Los Angeles, but they really need to get the receivers going. Baker really needs some more offensive help. I know the running game's been absolutely dominant. Odell's got to get going. I think Jarvis Landry is still hurt. He needs to get back and healthy for them to be contenders again. And that defense, you cannot be giving up 47 points.
Yeah.
If you want to be a contender, and they have a tough division as of right now. They got the Ravens. I know the Steelers haven't done much, but they also have the Bengals. And both of those teams, the Ravens and Bengals, have been playing really well this year. So the Browns are going to have to play absolutely almost perfect if they want to get into the playoffs, and then to make it all the way to the Super Bowl, they're going to have to play lights out. And like I said, Baker Mayfield playing with a torn shoulder, just a beat up shoulder. It's going to be really hard for them to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to disagree with you on this one again. I think the Browns are contenders. And I know they lost this game, and at times they've struggled. I know Baker is hurt. I'm just going to say if Baker gets healthy at some point, and that's a big if, I think with that running game, I think they have the ability, with that defense, if they can play how they've played at some points this season, they have the ability to be a team that can slow down games against good offensive teams like the Bills, like the Chiefs, where they can run the ball, make the game shorter. I think that will benefit them potentially if they get later on. And we saw them. They were in the AFC. Were they in the AFC? No, sorry. They were not the divisional round last year, not the championship game. The divisional round, they went toe-to-toe with the Chiefs. Although you did say the Chiefs were pretenders as well, so I guess that makes sense that you would think that the Browns are now pretenders. But I'm going to say, because I love the Browns, that they are contenders. And before we go into the picks, I do want to say we didn't go over some of the obvious ones. Obviously, the Buccaneers are contenders. We're not going to talk about them. We know that. I think, obviously, the Bills are Super Bowl contenders. I think we're in agreement with that. I think, obviously, the Packers, I think at 4-1, they seem to be a contender, although that one you could maybe disagree with. And then the Rams, obviously, those seem like teams that will probably be in contention for the Super Bowl. So we didn't talk about them. Just because we didn't talk about them does not mean that they're not Super Bowl contenders. I just wanted to kind of go over some of the more contentious teams. But then moving on real quick to the Week 6 picks. And Mike, you talked about last week. It was a little bit of a tough one for you last week as far as the pick'ems. Why don't you tell the listeners what happened last week with your picks?
Oh, Joe, it was great. I had an amazing week. Almost every one of my picks was right, except for 9 of them. So right now I'm sitting at 6-9. It's been kind of like week 1. It was absolutely terrible. Struggled the entire day. With all the teams I picked. But I will say, some light at the end of the tunnel. We got the Colts winning right now. I believe it's 16-3? If I'm not wrong here. Let me just double check on that. 16-3
is going on with the
what the
Ravens?
score is in the third quarter. So the Colts have been playing a pretty well game. And so, hopefully they can hold on to it, and I can, save one more pick.
Yeah. So last week, Mike went 6-9, and this is not including Monday night, obviously, as we have not seen the result at this point. I went 11-4, so a little better than Mike. And Mike had a 2-point lead in the overall season standings. Going into this week, I now have a 3-point lead. I'm sitting at 49-30. Mike's sitting at 46-33. So why don't we move on to Week 6 picks? Hopefully, well, for my sake, hopefully you don't have a better week, but hopefully I have a good week. Why don't we go on to the first game? Tampa Bay at Philadelphia on Thursday night. I'm going to pick the Bucs to win this game on a short week. Who you got in this game, Mike?
Joe, I think it's pretty obvious. I am also going to be taking the Buccaneers. I don't see the Eagles doing much against the Bucs this week.
All right, and then on to the London game on Sunday, the first game on the Sunday slate. My Miami Dolphins against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeesh, what a game. Sorry, London. I'm going to pick Miami, I guess. I don't know. If the Dolphins, listen, if they lose this game, they're leaving Brian Flores in London. They're not letting him get back on the plane. So I'm going to pick the Dolphins. Who you got in this game, Mike?
Joe, I'm actually going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Ouch.
The Jags are going to get their first win. I am probably going to be very wrong, but I don't know. The Dolphins have just looked absolutely terrible this year, and I'm not throwing shade or putting shots on you there, bud.
That's fair.
But the Dolphins have just looked absolutely
That's
terrible.
fair. It hurts, but it's fair. And then on to the next game, Cincinnati at Detroit. I'm going to pick Cincinnati. I mean, Detroit's got to win at some point. Are you picking them here against Cincinnati?
Joe, I think I'm going to ride with them all year long. I'm going to go with Detroit.
All right.
I mean, Motor City has to win at least one game this year. And as much as I'm a Bengal fan this year, I'm just going to stick with Dan Campbell.
I love it. I love your commitment to the bit. It's very, very good. And then on to Kansas City at Washington. I'm going to pick the Chiefs to bounce back against the football team. Who you got?
I'm gonna rock with you on that one. Washington struggled against the Saints, so we're going to go Kansas City.
All right, and then on to Minnesota at Carolina. I'm going to pick the Vikings. I think they've played well at times. Carolina, I don't know, could be in for a rough couple of weeks if they lose this game. But I'm going to pick the Vikings. Who you got in this game?
I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins and the Vikings.
All right.
I don't see the Panthers winning this game, Joe.
Some of these ones we agree on, I'm very surprised by. And then on to Houston at Indianapolis. This is, I don't know. I guess Indy is looking good now, and I'm gonna pick the Colts to win in this game versus the Texans. Who you got, Mike?
Joe, I'm gonna go with the Colts as well. Texans, even though Davis Mills looked great this last week against a terrible defense, I'm gonna rock with Carl Wentz and two sprained ankles.
Carl Wentz. And then on to Los Angeles Rams versus the New York Giants. Whether it's Mike Glennon or whoever is at quarterback, I'm gonna pick the Rams to win in this game. Who you got?
You don't even need to ask me. We're going to go with Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles
Very good.
Rams.
Sticking to Los Angeles teams, let's go with the Chargers versus the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to pick the Chargers. I think they're on fire. I talked about them being a Super Bowl contender. I think they're hard to stop at this point.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. The Chargers have looked dominant, and the Ravens are getting beat by the Mr. Two sprained ankles right now. So we're going to go with Justin Herbert.
All right, and then on to Green Bay at Chicago. Give me Green Bay, although I think Chicago could make this closer than we think.
Yeah, I think it might be an okay game. I know the Bears right now are sitting, I believe, at 3-2, but we're gonna take Green Bay.
All right, and then on to Arizona at Cleveland. And I'm going to pick Cleveland to win in this game. I don't know. I think Arizona's got to lose at some point. I think Cleveland's got the talent. They could. That secondary is okay if everybody's healthy. I know Denzel Ward is hurt, but if he is back, if they can get back to healthy, I think they could give the Cardinals a run for their money. Who you got in this game?
Joe, you said you took the Browns? That's honestly a tough one. I'm going to stick with the Cardinals. I'm going to stick with the Cardinals.
All right, we got to disagree.
We're going to go with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. We're going to disagree on this.
Okay, we got to disagree at some point. Then Las Vegas at Denver. I picked Denver before all this craziness happened. I don't know. I have a feeling that the Raiders are on a bad path right now. So I'm going to pick Denver, even though Denver kind of struggled this last week against Pittsburgh. Who you got in this game?
Absolutely. The Broncos looked rough against the Steelers, but with everything surrounding the bad vibe Las Vegas Raiders, I can't choose them right now. We're gonna go with the Broncos.
All right, and then on to the final of the early Sunday games. Dallas at New England. Sorry, Mike. This is for all the crap you talked about my team earlier. I'm gonna pick the Dallas Cowboys to beat your New England Patriots. Are you going with the homer pick or are you picking the Cowboys?
We're going with the homer pick. We're in
right.
Foxborough. Don't know what the weather's going to be like, and Mac Jones is going to show the world that Dak Prescott is nothing.
All right, listen, I can't. I'm okay with you picking the homer team. You got to root for something, and that
we are still. Hey, you know what? Before we move on to the next game, I would like to say the Patriots are still contenders.
Oh,
Joe. We still have a chance.
Sorry, I didn't even bring them up. Sorry, they're still. I know you said they were going to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season.
There is still light. We still have it. We still have a path.
Good.
It's gonna happen.
Very good. And then on to Seattle at Pittsburgh, the Sunday night game. I picked Pittsburgh.
Oof.
I picked Pittsburgh in this game. I just don't think Seattle's roster is that good without Russell Wilson. Sorry, man.
Joe. We're not rocking with Geno Smith.
So I figured I would leave it to you. Leave it to you to rock with Geno Smith.
Okay, respect. Geno's winning this game, all Joe. Right. He's gonna show the Steelers what he's made of.
Okay, all right. I hope he does. He's got his work cut out for him. The Steelers defense is pretty good, but that is a rough Sunday night game now with all the injuries and everything.
That is bad.
And then on to Monday night, the Bills in primetime again. The Bills versus the Tennessee Titans. The Bills are on fire right now. I'm not picking against them. I'm going to pick them to beat the Titans on Monday night. Who you got in the Monday night football game?
Joe, I'm also going to go with the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. Like you said, they look dominant. I'm not going to pick against them. Titans, if they pull this one out, they might be in shape to be a contender as well, but I just don't see it happening.
All right, there you have it. The results. One of us, I bet you, has them all right. I'm just kidding. Probably not going to happen. But those are our picks for Week 6. Wow. I'm a poet, and I had no idea. Also, there's 4 teams on bye. I didn't mention it. I was going to mention it at the top. Atlanta, New Orleans, the New York Jets, and San Francisco 49ers are on bye. So we're into the bye week time of the football season. So that's going to change things up a little bit. Make sure you check your fantasy lineups, people. But that will wrap up a long episode of this week's show. Mike, I don't know if you have anything you want to say before we wrap this thing up.
No, Joe. Everything I believe I put everything out on the table. Again, I feel like it was another successful episode. It was a lot of fun talking. But now I'm really excited to go put up some dining room chairs.
All right, sounds like a good time. He's got to go do some dad things. You know how it is.
Absolutely.
But Mike, it's been fun talking football.
Yes, sir.
Couldn't have asked for a better 2 hours, whatever it's been. We're looking forward to Week 7. Make sure that you guys share the podcast with your friends if you guys enjoy it, because everybody knows we enjoy it, and it's a good time. So make sure that you share, make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow us on social medias, rate us 5 stars. But until Week 7, we will catch you guys on the next one.